Hi everyone, it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. Today I have an icy window technique for you using really fun products from the Simon Says Stamp 2022 DieCember release. DieCember is a month where we showcase all things die cutting. You guys know how much I love die cutting, and I thought it would be fun to incorporate a little fun Tim Holtz product in with this. The Tim Holtz promotion is going on as long as supplies last. If you buy $25 or more in Tim Holtz product from Simon Says Stamp, you get the chilly and freezy snowman dies for free. So definitely a fantastic promotion. I love those dies, and you can check out that video. I will have it linked at the end of this one. Today I am going to be creating this window. So I want to start by die cutting my window from a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panel of Neenah cardstock. This is the arched French doors. So I know I'm calling it a window. They are calling this the French doors. It could be either one, and I'm going to pretend that it's a window because I want my oh dear reindeer to be peeking in from the outside. I used a little low tack tape to hold my die in place, and now I'm simply going to remove it. Now this die would make an amazing interactive element. I'm really going to just use it more as a design element and not have it open up to anything, but you could also make a shaker using this. I think there's lots of fun ways to incorporate or use this die. I'm going to take some red line super strong tape, and I am going to back this panel with a piece of acetate. And it really doesn't matter, any acetate is going to work here, but what I want to do is I'm imagining that the front of my card is the inside of the house, looking out into the winter scene. And for that, I'm going to have a snowy background, I'm going to have some trees, and of course the reindeer peeking in the window. But because it's snowy outside, I want it to appear that there is some snow or ice on the window, kind of in those window panes. And so I am going to take some of this crackle paste. I think this is icicle crackle paste, but any kind of crackle paste. And I'm using the tip of my palette knife, and I'm kind of just smearing it on. I know it looks super messy. I do have a plan. I keep flipping it over to check, but I don't want to completely cover the acetate because I don't want it to completely cover up the trees, the snow, and of course the reindeer that we're going to add, but I do want it to kind of appear that the outside is snowy and kind of, you know, icy and all of that good stuff. It will take a little bit for the crackle paste to crackle, and the thicker you put it on, the more it crackles. I kind of forgot that. So it's not going to be super crackly, although it does have some. I do feel like it looks like an icy finish. I think I'd put it on heavier if I did it again, but I'm going to set that aside to dry while I work on the background. So I'm going to take some Evergreen Distress Oxide ink, and I am just going to cover another 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panel of Neenah cardstock with this color of ink. You can use any color you like here. This just kind of worked with the vibe I want to have going on my card. So far, we don't have a whole lot, but I felt like this would be kind of give that icy feel to it. And then we're going to take the brand new Simon Says Stamp Reverse All Snowflakes background, and we are going to stamp those snowflakes right over this using the Evergreen BOUGH ink. So we are really going to just kind of do a tone on tone. It's going to be very subtle, but that's kind of what I like. When I pick pattern paper, it's almost like 98% going to be a tone on tone. As much as I love the colorful patterns and things, when I actually pick something to use on a project, it's generally a tone on tone design. And so that's kind of what I'm going for here. It's going to add interest, but it's not the focal point of the card. And so pretty. I mean, this would be pretty. You could pop a big bold die cut greeting on top, add a little sentiment strip, maybe some gems or sequins, and you could be done. So I also have probably one of my favorites from this release, the pointed evergreens. I could see using these evergreens on everything. So I know I mentioned Chilly and Freezy from Tim Holtz at the beginning of the video. If you buy $25 or more of Tim Holtz product from Simon Says Stamp and you get those dies for free, use these trees with them. I think that it would be incredible. You could make tags, you could make cards, you could make displays, but these trees I think are scaled perfectly for them. So that's just a little idea for you guys. Now I have my background and my trees in my splatter box, and I'm just going to add additional snow and splatter to both of these. And then I will move my splatter box aside and I'll rinse it out here when I'm done. But I do have a little more splatter to do, so I generally wait till I'm completely done before I clean up my splatter box. Now, when my splatter's dry, I'm actually going to take some Snowfall grit paste. Snowfall is going to dry clear, so it's going to give more of an icy feel and like a texture. So if you want it to be more snowy-like, I would use probably the opaque grit paste, but I'm just taking the tip of my palette knife and I'm applying it to parts of the tree to give the tree kind of the trees snowy, kind of crackly, distressy texture. I was all about the texture with this card, all about adding any of that I could to these fun images. And then of course this is going to need to sit and completely dry. And that's fine because we need to stamp and color our Oh Dear image. We're still waiting for the windows to crackle. I keep checking. It did take a little bit and then they eventually started to crackle and it looks super fun. So I'm just going to keep adding that. I do think kind of a pointy tip palette knife is going to work best for this. But anything you can do to add texture, I've really been into adding all kinds of different texture lately. And Tim Holtz has so many great products for that. So far in this video, we have used Distress Oxide ink. We have used some crackle paste. We've used grit paste. And we will also use some Foundry wax. So lots and lots of great Tim Holtz products. Next, I am going to take the Oh Dear image and I am going to stamp this on Bristol Smooth cardstock with Jellyfish No Line Coloring ink from Fawn. This is my favorite ink to use when doing a no line coloring technique, and this deer is too cute. I am going to color him in with Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I'm doing a no line coloring technique, and I am going to make sure I do everything that is not red first, and then I will go back in and add in his red nose and red scarf so that I don't accidentally touch the tip of any of my other markers to the red areas and have that bleed. These are water-based markers, meaning that they are going to kind of move a little bit if you would accidentally touch them, and I do find the reds are kind of notorious for that, and so I'm just going to kind of leave that. You'll also notice that I am not going to end up coloring like the tail and the legs. I only really need to color enough that is shown from the deer peeking in the window, and I'm going to have him kind of like leaning in and looking in the window. And so I'm not going to worry about coloring everything if it's not going to be visible. The colors of markers I'm using will be listed in the description down below the video here on YouTube, as well as underneath the photos on my blog. So definitely check that out if you're wanting to know exactly what color I'm using. I probably could tell you what color. I'm definitely a creature of habit. Mid-brown, beige, and light beige are the colors for the reindeer. Some pale pink for the insides of the ears and cheeks, and carmine red and light carmine for anything red. I think that's it. But again, I will have all of those listed below so that you can easily find those. When I'm coloring with the Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers, I like to trace out the area that I'm coloring with the darker color first, and then I will gently start blending that color in with my lighter marker. Always remember with your lighter colors to clean the tip of your marker off fairly often so that you aren't like over blending or pulling too much of that dark color. Some of the colors are worse than others out into those light areas. And so you'll notice that I just use like the other side of the cardstock to kind of clean the tip off quite regularly. I like the little pinks insides of his ears and the little pink cheeks. His face is really, really cute. One thing that you lose when you are coloring a no line coloring type thing is that you're not going to have the face detail that you would get if you stamped in black. I love the look of no line, but you definitely lose that. So what I like to do is I always go in and I use black fine tip pens, black jelly roll pens, white jelly roll pens, all of the things to really make the face shine. So once I have colored him in and die cut him, I will go and I'll show you how I make his face really come to life. We are coloring in the nose and scarf again with carmine and light carmine. So this is going to be a very bright kind of cherry red, not a deep dark garnet red or anything like that. I call this kind of my fun rainbow red color combination. But I'm going to color in these things and then I'm going to go back in with my carmine color and add in some detail for the scarf. And if you've watched any of my videos before, you know that I love to add stripes or polka dots or plaids to my scarf or hat images that critters are wearing. I just love how it looks. So now that I have that color added all in, look at his face. You can already tell it's cute. I'm going to go in with that carmine marker and very lightly, just very lightly touching it to the paper, drawing in some little stripes on the scarf. And look how cute that makes his little scarf. I absolutely love it. So I'm going to just kind of continue this, and then I did die cut him with the coordinating die off camera. There are coordinating dies for the snowflake candy cane and I think the heart that come in this same little, it's a little teeny tiny mini set and it is absolutely darling. I highly recommend it. I think he's cute and I think he would make really cute tags. So now I'm going to take my window and I'm actually going to go in with white, or not white, opaque grit paste, and kind of over where I have the crackle paste, because it is drying and you can kind of see now that it's crackling, I'm going to add in some of this white texture. So it looks like there's kind of ice and then snow. And I know it looks horrible messy here on the back, but when we place this over our scene, it is really going to make this window have more of a realistic look. And I mean, I know it's not realistic. I know reindeer are not going to be peeking in the window, but if you have watched my videos and heard me talk about this before, when I'm designing, I often tell myself some little story. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like the picture book quality of a lot of the images that we use to color in our card making and paper crafting, but I find myself telling myself little stories about the images and I totally dropped that on my project, so it's okay. There's enough distress going on that I think it'll be all right. But I'm often telling myself a story and it really helps the design process for me. So I'm going to let that dry. Oh, look at that crackle. Isn't that fun? And then we can kind of start putting it all together. And of course, we can add the detail into the face while we're waiting for our grit paste to dry. And oh, I guess I did not die cut that off camera. I die cut it on camera for you today. Who knew? Couldn't even remember what I was doing. So now I will take a black fine tip pen and I'm going to draw in the mouth with the fine tip pen before I go in with a jelly roll pen and add in the bigger area of the mouth as well as the eyes. And I personally really love the jelly roll pen because it's kind of got a glossy finish to it. And even when I stamp an image with black ink, I like to use these jelly roll pens to kind of give that glossy, finished look to a cute face. And there was a little smudge in there, so I just used a little sharp stylus tip to pull that out. Now, I do recommend letting that sit and dry just for a minute. It doesn't take long to dry, but I do think you need to give it a few minutes to dry. I'm going to take a white pen and add a little highlight to the tip of his little nose, Rudolph's nose. I did make him Rudolph because I gave him a little red nose. And then I'm going to let the eyes dry just a little bit more. Look at it's cute. I can see it coming together. Before I take my white pen and add some little highlights into the eyes. Okay, I have a bunch of stuff here. I have some other little greenery pieces. I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to use. So I'm actually not going to use that stamped and layered piece, even though it's really cute. It probably would have been fine. I'm going to use it on something else. So stay tuned for that coming soon. But I do love this fir sprig. I don't know what it is, but I've really been loving like pine and fir sprigs for my stuff lately. So I am going to use that to decorate what I'm considering the inside of the house. So we're going to pretend that there's like this little garland over the window, and we're going to adorn it with a bow. And then of course Rudolph is peeking in from the outside. I'm going to take some liquid glue on the back of my trees. Everything is dry now. It's time to put it all together, and we're going to glue our trees down. So I'm going to kind of carefully use my window. I'm going to shift the trees over to the left a little bit so that we hopefully see as much of them as possible and Rudolph isn't covering too much of them up. Oh my gosh, you guys, how cute is that window? I mean, if you want to do a little more elegant design, you could probably leave Rudolph off and do something else, and I think that would be cute. And then we are going to glue Rudolph. I was going to glue him to the window, but I think I'm going to glue him to the background instead. So let me just put a little glue back here, press him down in place. And then we'll pop up the window frame with some foam. Now, another favorite Tim Holtz product are these candy canes. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to have Rudolph holding a candy cane, peeking in the window. He would like to come inside and share his candy cane with you. And I'm going to put something heavy on top to kind of help hold that glue down in place while everything dries. And then I'm going to take my favorite foam tape. This is Simon Says Stamp foam tape, and I have talked about it a few times. But if you're new here, first of all, welcome. And second of all, what I love about it is that the backing paper comes off super easy. Some foam tape I find is kind of hard to get the backing paper off of. This just pulls right off, and it's super strong. I absolutely love it and highly, highly recommend it. So I'm just going to frame it up, even though I'm not making this a shaker. You could, but I feel like it would cover too much up. But I do think with the candy cane back there, which is very dimensional, we need a little foam tape to pop it up so that everything lays nice. So then I'm going to place my window panel right over my scene. Oh my gosh, you guys, I am in love with this. I think he's so, so cute. I love the little window. And I can start working on the front of the card. Can you believe all of that was for our scene outside? So I've got these gold satin baubles from Trinity Stamps. I am going to use them for the little doorknobs or window knobs here, just to dress that up a little bit. And then I've got two die cut fir sprigs that I am going to splatter with white gouache, just like I did for the winter sky and for the evergreen trees, but I want to make it be like an arch over the window. So I've splattered these up now. My box is super messy. I wish I would have remembered to or had the idea to do this when I was splattering everything else, because I generally like to do all of my splatter at one time, if at all possible. And then this is not a new product, but this is the Perfect Bow from Simon Says Stamp, and I've die cut it from some Lawn Fawn textured red cardstock. And I'm going to take another favorite Tim Holtz product. This is the Foundry wax, and I am going to rub some of this along the edges of my bow as it's unassembled. And with the Foundry wax, you do want to heat set it so that the product doesn't rub off. You want it to kind of have that gilded gold look. So now I'm using my heat tool and I'm simply going anywhere I added it, and I like to just add it with my finger. I just kind of do it messy. And I'm going to do that for the bow tails, as well as the little centerpiece that wraps around. I felt like with our little fir sprigs, we needed something else to I don't know, just kind of give it a little bit more of a wow factor. And this Perfect Bow never disappoints. It truly is the perfect bow. It is a great die for all kinds of things, and I especially love it when I'm working on holiday type projects or birthday projects that need a bow or something to that effect. So now I am going to start assembling after I've heat set everything. And to keep your fingers out of the heat tool, I do recommend using like some tweezers to hold on to your project while you are heat setting the product. I like to run the main part of the bow in my fingers, and you can see how I'm curving it. That's so you're not bending it as you're folding the bow in towards the center. And I'm so sorry, I had no idea that I was not in the frame of the camera when I did this. So I definitely need to maybe film this another time. But I am going to fold those in, hold that with my tweezers, and then I just like to let it sit with my tweezers until it's completely dry. We're going to wrap that center piece around. I'm going to stamp a sentiment from that same Oh Dear stamp set. I'm going to stamp Reindeer Wishes and Snowflake Kisses right underneath the window using black ink. And then we're just going to finish assembling. And I'm going to put a little glue. I'm just going to go ahead and close the window. So I just put little bits of glue there. Like I said, it's not going to be functional. It's just decorative and pretty. We're going to glue the fig sprigs kind of overlapping, and where they overlap, we're actually going to glue the bow in place, so you won't really notice that they overlap there. I'm just wrapping that center piece around, securing it, and then we're going to put the bow tails, and we'll put our bow in place, and then I just kind of clamp it with my tweezers again. Next, or finally, I guess I should say, I'm going to take these cherry red pearls and I'm going to add some berries to some of the branches just to finish it off. Perfect little winter scene. I love these little red pearls. Add a nice little pop of color and definitely finish the scene card off nicely. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this DieCember video featuring brand new products from the Simon Says Stamp DieCember 2022 release. I hope that this icy window technique has inspired you, and I can't wait to see your projects using all of the brand new products from this release. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There's exclusive content. You'll receive a handmade birthday card from me during your birthday month, monthly lives for my top tier patrons, and more. We would love to have you join our growing community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click the like button, And don't forget to click the notification bell so you're always notified when I have a video or go live. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again next time.